Okay.
I will, as soon as it happens, I will try not to shout or scream or anything. It'll probably happen, right as it.
Oh,
Right,
when the game is over?
yeah, I'll try.
Gotcha. It's
Hitting that
okay.
start stream button on the OBS, and then we're going to go live. And we're live here on Facebook. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land, and also like to welcome my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
Doing good, Mike. So, last partial partial work week as celebrated my 8th year with the company, which means my vacation time um, resets for the next fiscal year, or at least my year to year.
So, do
Um,
do you get like does today count as last year's vacation day, or does today start the new year vacation day and you took an extra day on this upcoming year?
no, no, no. My last vacation year, my last vacation day for my year was on Wednesday as I took it. So March 1st, if I don't use all my vacation days, I lose them.
Yeah.
And on the
Um,
anniversary date, you get restocked for the next year.
uh, yeah. So
So it was the last one. It was so now I get to plan out vacations for the next year. So
yeah. Um, I am trying to figure out. Like, I have to start thinking about this because come July 15th or July, yeah,
mhm.
like somewhere. I think it's either July 15th or July 1st. I have to at least have them scheduled. I think I'm allowed to carry over a couple of days, but I have to have them scheduled in the books before that day and blah blah blah. So, um,
Gotcha. So I always say I always say, man, I need to do better this year. I need to do
yeah,
better. So I'm not using like a week's half of my vacation days in the last 2 months of the year, but it just never works out that way. But but it is nice to have a string of weeks in a row.
I think I might have lost you, Rich. Um, so I am gonna continue the show. Yeah, it's nice to have multiple weeks in a row that are that not having to do. Um,
Yeah.
there you're
So
back.
Mike, how was your week, Mike? Have you winded down from
So last Friday
yeah, have you winded down from your letdown at state
we had
and
state, and I have frustrations about that. I'm gonna let it go. Can't change the past. Don't care. It's over. It's back there.
getting ready for Mario Kart?
Focused on Mario Kart. Not that
Hmm.
I'm Bill Belichicking you or anything. But then Monday I had a scratchy throat, so I stayed home from work and I called the
Hmm.
doctor. I said, "Hey doc, I've got a scratchy throat. It hurts when I swallow." My wife looked in the back of my throat and she thought she saw some white pussy stuff, so I think I might have strep. Doc said, "Oh, okay, come on, let's do it." So I go in for an appointment. They
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
stab me in the back of my throat.
Hmm.
They swab my nostrils, poke my brain,
Yeah.
do all the things. Everything comes back as negative. Okay. Go about my day. I had the rest of the day off. I'm like, I'll take a day. No big deal. I have some I have some banked flex time that I'm allowed to use, so I'm gonna flex some time. No big deal. Doesn't cost me a vacation day, doesn't cost me sick days, none of it. Great. No
Hmm.
big deal. I work Tuesday. I work Wednesday. Wednesday at the end of the day, I get a text message that there's some antibiotics. So I go on the portal and look, and my
Hmm.
peepers don't see anything on why. It just says, "We called in antibiotics for you." That's weird, okay. I mean, sure. Sometimes you got to do. Sometimes maybe they did they something. I don't know. Can't come up with why. Don't know why. Can't figure it out. But I'm like, they'll call me tomorrow and let me know. No big deal. It was too late. It was like 4 or 5. It was like 4:50 or something when I got that. So I'm like, oh well, I'm not gonna be able to figure out what's going on. So then Friday, not Friday. So then Thursday, I don't get a call to the end of the day. I've now been on antibiotics for 24 hours. So I'm like, oh, okay. Yep, turns out I have strep. They told me I didn't have strep. Then they tell me I do have strep 3.5 days later after I've been at work and exposed people. But because I now had been on antibiotics for 24 hours prior to getting the notification, I can be back at work. I don't even get a second day off to be on antibiotics for 24 hours.
Yeah, so long roundabout way. You were told you didn't have strep. You took a day off because you were already off.
By the way,
went to work for 2 days, and then you find out you do have strep.
By the way, better yet, I know where the strep came from. It came from those kids in Forest City. They canceled school last Friday because too many kids had strep and too many teachers had strep. They brought their kids down. I talked to them. I hung out with them. One of those kids gave me strep.
One of the schools that you
one of the Forest City kids. Yep.
With? Yep. Yeah. Oh well, but you're feeling better now.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, my throat's still a little scratchy. It's not nearly as bad. I can totally I can actually talk. I can actually do things. It's not as crazy. So, yeah. It's
all right.
It's what it is.
All right, Mike. So spring ball, we got a show to do today.
We do.
Mike.
We got a bunch of spring balls to talk about. We got spring football coming up.
We do spring football. They're in training camp.
Rich,
so
I totally forgot.
What'd you forget?
It's combine week.
It is combine.
We forgot to figure out what we were supposed to measure this week.
Yeah, we did.
We should have done head size or neck size. Actually, I do have my neck size, my most recent one. It's only 2 weeks old. I don't know if you have yours.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, no big deal.
Yeah, it was combine.
Combine week.
But so we'll we can finagle and fit in the combine a little bit, see if we've recall any rumors that got talked about. Because we will be hitting up the NFL as we're going to give you our pre-draft or free agency period power rankings. We're just going to do our eye tests. We're going to give you top 10, bottom 5, and where we put the Bears.
Yep.
If they were outside of one of those areas. And of course, we're going to be going into the NASCAR corner. Mike, what else do we got to talk about this week?
We got spring baseball as spring training is in full session, and there's been some signings.
Yeah, there's a big signing.
We also have to talk about the UFL and their rules package as their season's getting ready to start up here in the next couple weeks. All that and more, Rich, but what's it time to do?
Mike, why don't you go ahead and roll that intro?
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Yeah. So, I just stepped on a train set piece, and that didn't feel so good.
Ooh.
Feels worse than a Lego.
Oh, well, but yeah, you took the question right out of my mouth there. All right, Mike. Well, before we start our show and talking about sports, we got to go to our weekly poll question, which this week we're on breakfast foods, more on the entree side. So this week's poll question was hash browns versus muffins.
Wow. There's a lot of muffins out there, people.
There are a lot of muffins.
There are a lot of muffins.
What's your favorite type of muffin, Mike?
I really like pistachio muffins.
Okay, I'd have to go with blueberry myself.
Ooh, blueberry's a close second, but pistachios definitely number one. I am not
All right,
waiting.
Mike.
Woo.
Okay, so hash browns are a muffin, Mike.
Yeah, I went with hash browns.
Yeah, so did I. They go with a lot of things. You can mix them in with your eggs or your sausage, and or put some breakfast sausage gravy right over the top of those. Good thing. I mean, muffins. I mean, you got to have the right size, and most of the time when you're at a like a continental breakfast, it's prepackaged mushroom. It's prepackaged muffins.
You
You're not
know,
getting fresh muffins
the
very often.
best thing out there, if you go to the Moline Airport for
Hmm.
breakfast, and I think it's called the Egg Stacker. Don't quote me. It's been years since I've had it,
Okay.
but it's hash browns,
Mhm.
eggs, gravy over all of it,
All right.
and some cheese, served with 2 pieces of toast.
That does sound good.
Yeah,
All right, Mike. So we both went with hash browns. What were the results, Mike?
I'm gonna give you
Give the people their shout outs.
the shout outs for muffins. Pam Hendricks. The shout outs for hash browns.
Okay.
Me, Debbie Scranton Washburn, Sue Hart, Matthew Wells, Mark Hendricks, Rich Hendricks, Ashley Lindquist, Josh Couture, Mikey Roderer, and Nathan Ross. That's 10-1.
I don't know if we've ever had this lopsided in our
Yeah,
bracket in our food breakfast food poll yet.
I don't think we have yet. That's wow, wow. That's impressive. I'm not even
All
mad.
right.
I'm impressed.
All right, so hash browns will be moving on. This week, Mike, we're back to the cereal side of the bracket, and we're going to go frosted mini wheats versus Cocoa Crisp.
See the
Cookie Crisp. Cookie Crisp.
Cookie Crisp. Yeah,
Yeah,
Cookie Crisp.
yes, Cookie Crisp.
Now,
I'll make sure to get that up tomorrow.
now I'm gonna put some out there.
Okay.
I might get some hate. Frosted mini wheats. Do you know the best way to put them up the next level?
Well, what's that, Mike?
Brown sugar.
Brown sugar. All right.
Sprinkle
Keep
some
that.
brown
Keep that in your
sugar.
back pocket. Keep that nugget of information for next week.
Sprinkle some brown sugar on top.
Mhm.
Pour milk over the top. That brown sugar melts into it. Chef's
Here you go,
kiss.
Mike. I'll try and get the poll up so it's fresh in your mind.
Oh,
Put that as a comment and see what we get. See if that engages people and we get comments off of that,
yeah.
off of
I'll, I'll do it.
your nugget of how to make frosted mini wheats better.
Okay.
All right, Mike. So we're gonna go over to the NFL and we're gonna go with our pre-draft free agency power rankings. The postseason's over. We know the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. The Niners came up just short, and but no movement. The only thing that we've had changed since that time is that all the head coaching vacancies are filled.
Yep.
All right, Mike. So I'm going
And
to set
one
the
that
timer
should have been
for.
a
Go ahead.
vacancy that never did.
Yes. So, Mike, I'm going to put us on a 15-minute time frame
Okay.
starting now. So, Mike, who do you have at number one?
I mean, your Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs.
I agree. I put the Chiefs here as well.
And at number two, I put the San Francisco 49ers. They made it to the game. They deserve to get a nod.
All right. Here's where I'm gonna differ from you a little bit, and I'm gonna go the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
They had a good regular season. There's still some things to build upon, but I mean they had a great season. They just came upon the Kansas City Chiefs at the wrong time as they were hot at
Okay.
the time that they played.
Okay.
Number three, Mike, is where I have the 49ers.
See, I'm going to surprise you right here because this is where I put
Okay.
the Detroit Lions.
All right. So,
Number
so
four is where I have the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. So we're agreeing on our first top four. We have the same
Okay.
teams.
So you have the
Because I
Lions
put the
at 4.
Lions, I put the Lions at four.
Okay.
Just a different order, which is where I thought we would be, honestly.
Okay. I'm not mad at it. Number 5, I have the Cleveland Browns. I hate putting them in there. Don't get me wrong. I hate it.
Ooh.
I hate it with passion. But what do they have coming back on this offseason?
They have some question marks.
No, 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 no. They have
Okay.
some question marks. But what's the
Mhm.
one thing they don't have a question mark about?
What is it, Mike?
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Watson is. He's back there.
He's back. I mean, I hate the guy. I want the guy to rot in the jail cell he should be in. But he's an amazing quarterback. The team itself was able to make its way into the playoffs with 4 different quarterbacks this year. How do you not pick a team like that that's getting their one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league? How do you not have him up there, Rich? That's my question.
Well, and that's not a question I was expecting to have, as I was expecting you to have the Browns a little bit
Oh, I hate the
lower.
Browns. I want them to lose every game. But when you look on paper, they seem like a great team.
All right. I really don't know if I have a good enough answer, Mike, but they're not in my top 10.
Okay, that's fine, and I don't blame
They're
you.
not in my top 10. I think they're the
My
teams that
my heart says put them below the bottom 32 because I hate them. I want them to rot. But what they have on paper, that's what we're judging today. We're judging the paper team, and that's why I say Deshaun Watson and the Browns are at number 5. Who do you got at number 5, Rich?
This is where I put the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay,
Good regular season team.
Yep.
Maybe it's debatable that Mike McCarthy has taken them as far as they can go, and it's time for a new voice to lead that team. But they just seem to, if anything, they got a lot of talk and they got a lot of hype around that team.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put them at number 5 for right now. And who do you have? Number 6 is where I put the Houston Texans, a team on the rise and a team that surprised a lot of people last year.
I don't think I can go that far. I put your Dallas Cowboys at number 6. Again, I'm still not convinced that Mike McCarthy can make it over this hump. I'm also not convinced that this team in general, with a GM who has the last name of Jones, will make it over this hump. So I got to put him at 6.
Yeah, the common thread you always hear is that you can't fire the GM because the GM is the owner.
Yep.
But any other team that had the track record of Jerry Jones, the general manager, and you had an owner like Jerry Jones, the general manager wouldn't still be employed as the general manager.
If Jerry Jones was not the general manager and his manager performed the way that Jerry Jones has performed, he would have fired him already. And there's no question about it. And that's the problem. So that's why I have him at 6. At number 7, I have the Buffalo Bills. They are a great team. But again, can they do anything in the playoffs? That's my question.
Yeah, I put the Bills here as well. They need to either. I think what they need to do the most is get a solid number 2 wide receiver opposite Stephon Diggs. That's where I'd like to see him go. So number 8, Mike, is where I have the Cincinnati Bengals. Great. Joe Burrow should be back. They franchise tagged T. Higgins. So they're still going to have their 2 best receivers for one of their best quarterbacks in the league. And as long as he's healthy, I think they're going to be able to get back on top in their division and be a force to be reckoned with in the AFC.
Okay. You said that at number 8?
Yes.
Okay. My number 8, and I think this one's going to shock you.
Mm-hmm.
My number 8's going to be the Miami Dolphins.
All right.
I
A second team that I don't have in my top 10.
Tua stayed healthy the entire year.
They did. Yes, he did.
When Tua is healthy, they're a great team. He's proven 1 year that he can stay healthy. Maybe this year is the year that he has a concussion that causes him to never walk again. I don't want it to happen. But with him in the lineup, how do you not have him as a top 10 team? That's for me.
Okay. I have them at number 12. They did not make my top 10.
Honestly, I'm not that upset at number 12 with that. That is not as upsetting. So, okay, number 9. Who do you got, Rich?
I have the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
The Eagles, they got some adversity and issues to sort out with that collapse that they had in the second half of the year, and it doesn't help when you have Vic Fangio as your defensive coordinator, who is a former head coach, and Kellen Moore, who was a hot name on the interview circuit two cycles ago as your new offensive coordinator, to where if things don't go well, it wouldn't surprise me if Nick Sirianni is let go and one of those coordinators is promoted.
Huge point there. That's huge. I actually agree with you, and I have them at number 9. Different reasonings. One,
okay.
I mean, the collapse is the biggest thing. But again, we're doing on paper. The talent they've put together there and how they do it. But we do see one big hole. One massive hole in talent.
All right.
Jason Kelce.
Yeah, a clubhouse leader and an anchor on that offensive line.
So that's going to change a lot of how that team looks. Don't know what exactly is going to happen there, but they're still good enough on paper to be in the top 10. Finally, and again, this is where we talked about top 10 teams on paper.
Okay.
New York Jets.
The New York Jets. Okay.
Aaron is back.
He is. Another year older and the first time coming off a major injury like this, so
he'll be fine.
All right.
He's got more to prove than any other quarterback in the league. He's been standing in the shadow of Tom Brady for 20 years. This is his time to shine. I don't like the guy. Aaron.
All right. I did not put the Jets into my top 10 as I have them at number 14.
Okay.
And I put the Green Bay Packers at number 10. They really did surprise me coming in and making a playoff push with, and Jordan Love, if anything, proved Brian Gutekunst right when they drafted him unnecessarily when they had Aaron Rodgers under contract. So I want to go based off of how they finished the year and what they look like going into this upcoming year. I have them at number 10 right now.
Okay. I have them better than I want to admit. I have them at 16.
Okay.
And I feel like we probably should finish up the top or the north, but let's go to the bottom 5 while we have some time left on the clock. Where we sit on that time?
I'm showing 450. Okay. 450. So number
That's
32.
Right about where I'm at too.
The Carolina Panthers.
32 is the Carolina Panthers. 31
Yep.
is the Arizona Cardinals.
I put the Washington Commanders here at number 31.
Okay. I'm not mad at it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm not mad at it.
Second worst, they have the number 2 pick.
They do.
For a reason.
Yep. But here's the thing. I have number 30 as the Washington Commanders.
All right. I put the New York Football Giants here at number 30.
At 29, again, The football giant, I don't disagree with that spot hardly at all. Just a little bit higher, or a little bit lower than I have them a little bit higher.
Sure.
Only because I had to make room for another team. 29.
Gotcha.
29. I have the New England Patriots.
All right. I put the Cardinals here at number 29 because I finished out my bottom five with the New England Patriots at number 28.
Yeah, and this is where I ended up the bottom five. Rich, there's an old
Okay.
adage: when you have two quarterbacks, how many do you have?
You technically you have none, but technically the Bears haven't made that decision yet. So
Well, because
They
they
really-
can't, they haven't made the decision. They essentially have two.
okay.
They don't have a decision at quarterback. How's that make Justin Fields feel?
He understands it's the business.
Oh, that's good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's a business.
No, what he understands is they don't want me here. How's he going to come in the locker room if they don't want him here? Because at this point, they basically said we don't want you here.
Yeah, but the
And
locker-
then-
he
And
Go ahead.
then you have a quarterback been quoted. Now, I know what he said this week. Don't get me wrong. I heard what he said at the combine, and he said the right things. But previously, he has been quoted to say that he does not want to play in Chicago. Do I blame him? No. Why? Because there's a head coach that will ruin him. And then pass the buck on the offensive coordinator like he's done the last 2 years. Okay, rest my case. Where do you have the Bears?
I put the Bears at number 24. But here's it is. I have the Raiders at number 25. Do
Okay.
they know who their quarterback is next
They
year?
don't. You're right.
The Denver Broncos. Do they know who their quarterback is next
No, but they
year?
at least have a quarterback or a coach that knows how to coach a quarterback.
Okay. And then
So-
number
so-
27,
so
the
they don't-
Tennessee Titans.
And the Titans are close. But again, if your problem is you don't know who your quarterback is, that's one problem. But we also have a huge problem. Matt Eberflus. Tell me he's not a problem. Tell me, fine, maybe he's a good coach. Sure, we can give him some benefit of the doubt and squint and make it all blurry and make it look like he's a good coach. I got another minute left on this, so I'm
You
gonna
do.
take
You do. Keep.
you can squint
Did-
and make
did
it
the
look
team-
like you can squint and make it look like he's a good coach. Sure, it's blurry, you can't really tell. But then there's this. How is he at coaching quarterbacks?
He's a defensive coach.
Oh, and you're going to bring in a young. So you either have you keep Justin Fields, which they should do, and get rid of Matt Eberflus, but they're not going to do that. We already know that. But you're either going to keep Justin Fields, who Matt Eberflus has basically said I don't want, or you're going to bring in a brand new, fresh face quarterback to the league, and you're going to have your defensive coach help coach him up to be an NFL quarterback. Tell me how that makes sense, and that doesn't drop you at least 5 spots in the draft.
Okay. So, I mean, I think that with the way that they ended the season fighting for a playoff push, that there's potential there. But you're right. You are squinching. You are squinting, trying to see that. Let's give him another year. Let's see what happens.
Okay,
Let's see what happens. And
I'm dropping all the arguments. All I'm going to ask, just for our fans,
all right.
we're not here to argue anymore. We've our allotted argument time is over. I'm done. I will concede your points. Where do you have the Minnesota Vikings?
The Minnesota Vikings, I have them at 22.
Shock, because that's exactly where I have them too. Might get. It's a good thing my father-in-law left today. left today and isn't coming back tomorrow, because if he saw this, he might be a little upset. I wouldn't blame him either. Okay.
Gotcha.
Let's move on from our power rankings. What do you got?
Yeah. So we'll come back. We'll circle the wagons back with the NFL. Probably about a week before the draft. The combine has gone on, but really I don't think any questions got answered. The Bears have said that they're hoping to make a decision soon on what they're going to do with Justin Fields, because they want to do right by him, or
get him a better coach.
Yeah, they want to do right by him, whether that's trading him somewhere else, committing to him, or where they're going to go with the pick. So we may sprinkle in some NFL, but it's probably going to be more of a quick hit until we get a week before the draft, where we'll put together a top 10. We'll do the top 10 like we normally do, of where we think the picks will fall, and then see how those picks do when the NFL draft goes, when we record our show after at least the first round, probably the second round as well, on April 26th. So, Mike, do you see what's coming up next?
Is it a left turn, Rich?
It is, Mike. And what's after that?
It's another left turn. Why is that, Rich?
Well, Mike, because we're going to go into the NASCAR Corner, which is presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. They're in Moline, Illinois, down on 5th Avenue, and you can also find them on eBay. Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated.
Yeah, check them out. So last week we were at the Ambetter 400 in Atlanta. Your race winner and Rich's pick, scoring him 2 points for the week, Daniel Suarez. My pick, Austin Dillon, 22nd. At least he was on the lead lap.
He was. Not a lot of cars were on that lead lap.
Okay, Rich, how much of the race did you get to watch?
I watched all of it.
How much NASCAR nap?
No NASCAR nap.
I
2 weeks in a row.
Definitely took a NASCAR nap. I was exhausted last weekend.
It was an exciting race. There was a lot of actions, a lot of wrecks, and that photo finish was crazy.
0.003. They had to go out 3 numbers just to find out on a 500-mile race between 3 cars. I think it was between first and third was within 0.003, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. All 3 drivers didn't know who won the race. Did not know who won.
That finish made me not even mad at that Daniel Suarez won. Sometimes I get annoyed that you have gotten so good at this. Not because I'm actually annoyed. It's just mostly I like beating you at stuff. And the fact
that's okay. The feeling's mutual.
The fact that you pulled it off like this, and it was that freaking close, like 0.03 of a second slower, and you only get 1 point, and it's 1 point. It's only a 1 point match. Now it looks like you're tearing off the lead, and you're ahead by half a lap. And I'm sitting here looking like, but Kyle Busch, you could have done it.
Or Ryan Blaney could have done it.
I legitimately cheered, hoping that Kyle Busch was going to beat you. So, right, interesting things that come from this. Real quick, just for me. Yeah. They did a couple during mid-race interviews during red flags and stuff like that. They did one with Kyle Busch. And last year, and then again this year, the more I hear him speak, the more I'm realizing, like, the more I realize how much he's matured and how much I actually don't mind the guy anymore. Like, he legitimately seems decent, and I'm hating him less and less. I don't know that I'm a fan yet, but I don't mind him anymore.
Okay.
Did you ever think you'd hear me say that, Rich?
I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. You looked like you had something to say on that.
I did.
On
Well,
the
not
race.
on the Kyle Busch interview.
Oh.
But I may have won the race with my driver getting first. But Mike, you still won the day on the fantasy side, Mike, as you had 195 points. I came in second with 175, and the new Dupo 24 Solomon came in third with 154.
Yeah.
Overall standings, Mike, you have the lead with 328. I'm in second with 300, and Solomon is in third with 284. So we're all still really close. And one race, the Vegas race,
Speaking of Vegas,
could change the standings.
as we head into Vegas, Rich, let's talk about strategy for fantasy. As I think this week is one of the first weeks that you might want to change your strategy for NASCAR or for fantasy NASCAR.
I agree, Mike. Because you no longer you don't have the super speedway type atmosphere where you're worried that a guy could get knocked out before even this first stage ends,
Yep.
or get caught up with a
The big
bad
one.
pit the big one or a pit strategy
Yep.
messing things up.
Yep. So, so there's legit strategy starting this week. By the way, I'm gonna read you, Rich.
Mhm.
I don't normally do this. I'm gonna trust you because I know you probably don't like my lineup anyway. But I'm gonna read you my lineup, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you a fact about this lineup. Okay?
Go ahead.
Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and in my garage is William Byron.
All right, Mike. The only one that I'm not agreeing with you on is Hamlin and Elliott.
Okay, and that's fine.
I'm not a big Denny Hamlin fan, but also when I set my lineup, I like to look at how they've run, how they've performed there in the past. So instead of Hamlin and Elliott, I put in Christopher Bell and Ross Chastain.
Not a bad idea. Now, here's a fun fact: how many uses total have I used these guys this year?
I'm gonna go zero, Mike.
That is correct, Rich. These are the guys. Like Rich and I we can at least agree. These 6 guys that I just named are likely to be guys that you will want to use at a ton of races this year. You're going to want to use them quite a bit.
You're going to you're more than likely you are going to use them for 10 races this year.
100%, I would say nearly guaranteed. But because this is the first week that it's not all bets are off, that's why you start putting these type guys in. I might have put Ty Gibbs in last week, but you know who I didn't put in this week? Ty Gibbs. Okay, that's it. That's all I got.
I used Kyle Busch last week, so I
Probably not
have
a bad
one
pick.
use on him, and I think I have Byron in my garage last week.
Yeah, none of them were anywhere in any of my lineups any of the weeks at all. So,
all right, Mike. So who are you picking for our show?
Well, Rich,
our little
you
show game
have
to see who
the
gets it.
honors as you are up 3-1.
I'm gonna go with Martin Truex Jr. The guy is a top 10 machine at the Vegas Speedway. It doesn't matter whether it's the fall or the spring race. The guy always finds his way to be in the top 10. And so I'm not a big fan of his sponsor, as I'm not a big fan of Bass Pro Shops, but I like Martin Truex. So.
I like Bass Pro Shops. They're great. There's one in Des Moines. We like to stop there. They got good jerky. They got a massive fish tank that's back there that you can go check out, like giant fish that you could, like, yeah. They have they have a pond that you can teach your kids how to cast fish at. I totally understand why you don't like it. Never mind.
Yeah, that's why. So, Mike, who are you gonna go with?
I'm gonna go with Kyle Larson.
All right, I like the Kyle Larson pick too, but he's just slowly becoming how we used to treat almost Kyle Busch as a
Yeah.
guy, maybe great driver, but is he a guy that's I don't know if it's just a cockiness thing, but maybe a guy you really don't want to see win.
So again, not trying to call anybody out. I think it more has to do with the driver for which you love and the run-ins that that person and Kyle Larson has had.
Yeah, he's had some run-ins with them and Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
But I tell you, what was Denny Hamlin's almost becoming like? Is it kind of embracing the old Kyle Busch?
He is totally.
Kyle Busch.
What's sad is I still love the guy, but I actually find it more his catchphrase to be more annoying. But anyway, Rich,
your favorite driver.
Yeah, I still beat your favorite. Yeah, I find that catchphrase annoying. I still like him. Anyway, Rich, anything else?
I do not have anything else. You can catch that race on Fox. It is at 2:30 Central Time.
Perfect. This has been the NASCAR Corner presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out on 5th Avenue for all your sports memorabilia needs or on their eBay store. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Now it's time to head into the keep making left turns as we head to the diamond for Major League Baseball. Spring training underway. Cubs sound. It sounds so good to hear the Cubs play at the Cubs radio. Makes me happy.
That's right. You even have Pat Hughes back in the chair too.
Yep. Best part of spring / summer. Pat Hughes on the radio.
Yeah. Have you heard the promotion that they're going to do to honor Mr. Pat Hughes?
I have not.
They are going to give away
a sweater?
A Pat Hughes sweater.
See that Cubs flag? That Cubs flag will come down, and Pat Hughes' sweater will live right there forever.
Yeah, a Pat Hughes inspired.
No, I don't want to. No, see, man, Rich.
Not his sweater, but
if
it's being given away to 10,000 fans. You're not going to give an actual Ron Pat Hughes sweater, but it's going to be a Pat Hughes inspired sweater.
I'm on. What game is that?
I believe it's against the Dodgers. That they've been talking it up on every spring training game.
Is it at a spring training game or is it in like the actual?
It's going to be a regular season giveaway.
Okay, we got to find that giveaway, and one of us has to go to that game. Mostly you, because you live close enough that going to a game on a weekend. But I need to send you with 3 tickets so that you, your wife, and I can all have one. Sorry, Grandpa.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what it looks like. You hear the ugliness of the sweater seems to get worse and worse every time they bring it up on air.
I want a Pat Hughes sweater.
All right, but the big thing that we got to talk about with the Cubs is Belly's back.
Yeah.
Cody Bellinger is back, so it's going to make our Cubs preview a little bit easier to talk about next week when we kind of review what they've done, what they did this off season, what did they do enough, and maybe some questions that need to be answered before they break camp.
Yep.
But in regards to Bellinger, he's back on a 3-year deal, $30 million, 20 in 24 and 25, and $20 million in 26. However, he has an opt-out at the end of years 1 and 2.
And don't the Cubs have an opt-out after year 2 as well? I thought they did. I don't remember.
I believe it's both player option. It's both a player opt-out.
Okay.
The club has no control.
Okay.
So if he plays well, he gets to go back out to test the free agency and wait for his agent to wait until the week after spring training to announce who he's going to play with.
Okay.
Or he repeats the saga that he went through this year. But hopefully he can repeat his show that last year wasn't a fluke, which I think was the main reason why he didn't get signed to a long-term deal this year.
Yeah. No, I'm happy with it.
Were kind of square. A lot of teams were maybe still kind of weary about, was last year a fluke or was he performing because he was chasing the long-term contract?
You know what? I think it's a great thing, and it'll give us a lot to talk about next week. We got a lot to talk about with that, and we'll talk that next week. Okay.
That'll work.
Yeah, and we're only a couple weeks away from It's March, Rich.
It is March.
That means that in 27 days, right? The 28th, or is it the 27th?
The 28th, the Cubs open up.
Yeah.
But I think a week before that, you got I think the Dodgers and the Padres go over to South Korea to play some regular
Forgot
season
about
baseball.
that. Yeah. Yeah. So the 28th, the Cubs start, and then they get a day off, and then 30th is when the season full swing. But yeah, we are within 27 days of the season starting. So we're going to have to do so our month of March is 100% about baseball, as we are going to talk about not 100%, but we are going to talk about next week. We're going to preview the Cubs, like Rich said already. Then we're going to give you our division and wild card predictions, the over-under on the Cubs. Finally, the 22nd and 23rd, we will give you our ALCS and NLCS predictions, along with our Cubs, our first Cubs coverage, as the Cubs have a home opener on the 22nd, 23rd. And then the 29th or 30th, whichever day we do it that week, we will be talking about our World Series predictions. Rich and I think we've agreed.
And it'll be the Cubs' first full week of action.
Right, and I think Rich and I have both agreed that the 29th, by the 28th, we will both put in our predictions who wins the World Series by the 28th. Right? Is that kind of where we were? What we were both thinking? I will probably have it done, hopefully by the 22nd, but that way we can stretch out baseball talk a little bit longer. Okay, Rich, let's leave the left fields, or the left turns, and head onto the gridiron, as we've been kicking a can down the road that we've been needing to talk about, as we're getting into spring football.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'll watch of this, but we'll try and figure out a way to work it into our.
So it's Sunday afternoon,
outline.
Rich. It's Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Or a Saturday afternoon.
The Birmingham Stallions are playing the Houston Roughnecks on ABC/ESPN. NASCAR is on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And the White Sox are on one of the sub-channels that you can watch it on over the air in the Quad Cities.
Oh, or they're on NBC Sports.
Sure.
Chicago, which we both have access to through our streaming services.
They're on NBC Sports Chicago playing
so and so.
We'll pick a team that we kind of care about. They're playing they're playing the wow, brain, stop. Okay.
We'll go with the Yankees. They're playing.
Sure, they're playing the Yankees. I was actually gonna go say they were gonna play the Brewers, but the Yankees works too.
Okay.
In that likelihood, you're gonna watch each one. I'm guessing mine is gonna be number one. I'm probably watching the NASCAR race.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be
probably number one. Oh, by the way, there's golf on somewhere too. Always. Number two. What was the other option I gave?
You had the UFL.
Oh, and there's a hockey match on. We got to put a hockey match on.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're forgetting one other thing, Mike.
What?
The Cubs on the radio, since neither of us have the
you're right.
Network.
Yeah. Ooh. $20 a month though. That's ooh. Anyway, we got 15 minutes. We got 10 minutes to finish all of this. Anyway, but let's put Cubs on the radio and a hockey match on whatever on NBC, actual NBC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that league, all those legally things could happen, and you could watch it. Number one is going to be the NASCAR race. Number two for me will probably be Cubs on the radio while either playing video games or a board game with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 will be hockey. Number 4 will be spring football. Number 5 will be the White Sox, mostly because it's the Yankees. If it was the Brewers, I might tune in, but it's the Yankees, so I don't care that week. And finally, golf. I don't even understand why they televise it other than for people to take naps. I watch it once a year.
Yeah, for me, Mike, I think that maybe the NASCAR race on mute with the Cubs game on.
That's a good option. It's a good option.
So I'll make that 1A and 1B, and probably but number 2 would probably be a nap. Would probably be the nap that naturally happens when you sometimes watch NASCAR. I don't even know if the UFL is going to be
Rich,
a thing that I'd watch.
Rich,
right now.
Legitimately, you just predicted what one of my Sundays will be in mid-April.
A NASCAR race on mute with the Cubs game on the radio
while I'm playing a board game with my wife. 100% that's gonna happen.
There you go. You get the best of both worlds. You get to watch the race, you get to listen to the game, and you get to spend time with the missus.
The percentage that will happen is probably greater than 99%. Like, legitimately, it is greater than 99% that I will watch the Cubs. Or I will have the NASCAR. Because you've been in my dining room. My dining room,
mm-hmm.
there's a TV. There's a giant TV. I can mute the race. We can play our game. The Cubs are on. I'm listening. I'm barely paying attention. But we're playing a game. This is going to happen in my house. I guarantee it. Okay. Anyway, let's get to these rules so that we know what's going on. Because
the UFL and the Sox are probably very low.
There is a touchdown. Rule number 1 that you need to know about the UFL's rules for 2024. Rule number 1 that you need to know about is after a touchdown, there are 3 different plays that may happen. Play number 1 is they're only allowed to do a play from scrimmage, and they're allowed to pick 3 different yard lines. The 2, the 5, and the 10. At the 2-yard line, they get 1 point. At the 5-yard line, they get 2 points, and at the 10-yard line, they get 3 points.
So no kicker kicking a 1 point extra point?
I guess not.
Wow.
I don't mind it.
The kicker. Oh yeah, I kind of like it. Kickoffs will look like traditional college NFL kickoffs, which will take place from the 20-yard line. Kickoff out of bounds will give possession to the receiving team 30 yards from the spot of the kickoff or at the spot where the ball goes out of bounds. A kickoff that is untouched by the receiving team will only be recovered by the kicking team up to 20 yards from the spot of the kick.
Okay.
Okay.
All touchbacks on kicks, punts, and kickoffs will be placed at the receiving team's 25-yard line. And a punt that goes out of bounds inside the receiving team's 25-yard line will be considered a touchback and placed at the 25-yard line.
So on a punt, you can't pin them back of the end zone by having that coffin corner kit?
No.
Getting the punting the ball that bounces out of bounds at the 1-yard line?
Correct. It cannot bounce out of bounds. It can bounce in. If it stays in bounds and your guys ground it or touch it there, that's fine. Non-kicking touchbacks will also be placed at the 25-yard line. Okay. Alternative possession options. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, while onside kicks are allowed at any time during the game, teams will have an alternate option to retain possession in the fourth quarter. If the team is tied or behind during the fourth quarter, it may elect to retain possession after a score by doing a 4th and 12 from their own 28-yard line.
I would take that almost every time.
If you're behind.
If I'm behind, why wouldn't you take it? I got no problems with it. Okay,
All right,
2 forward passes. Teams are allowed, as they were in both leagues last season, to throw 2 forward passes in one play. However, the ball cannot cross the line of scrimmage anytime prior to the second forward pass.
I kind of like to see this one in action.
I think that's a Canadian Football League type rule. I think that does come from Canadian football directly. Basically, if you're in the shotgun, you can forward pass to one of your linemen or one of your receivers. That's like the Bears' favorite play, the wide receiver screen. But if he's behind the line of scrimmage, still, he can then throw it forward to the opposite side or to someone else out there. That's basically how I read it. So, catch. Rich, you want to read the next one?
Sure. A catch definition is a completed catch or an interception is defined as the player securing control of the ball prior to the ball touching the ground and touching the ball inbounds with both feet or with any part of their body other than their hands.
Okay. And defensive pass interference.
Not sure if that's a rule, but at least they've defined what a catch is.
Sure. Defensive pass interference will result in a 15-yard penalty or a spot foul if it occurred less than 15 yards downfield. Intentional defensive pass interference will result in a spot foul if it is beyond 15 yards downfield. I like that the fact. Now, the hard part is intent. How do you prove intent? But I think it should say blatant or obvious pass interference. But sure. How about reviews, Rich? How are reviews going to work?
Well, the long and short of it seems like designated members of the officiating department may stop a game at any time before the ball is next legally put in play to review a play if the play is reviewable. There is a reasonable evidence to believe an error was made in the initial ruling and it would have a direct competitive impact on the game. Those reviews are made from a secure location separate from the site of the game, and any call or non-call related to player safety is also subject to review under the same rules, as well as any officiating ruling in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter or overtime that is obviously incorrect and will significant impact on the spot of the game.
That sounds like they're going to enforce Chicago, the New York monitoring it stuff, and I like that.
Yeah, but I guess it is a lot easier to have an independent replay person watching your game when you, in theory, have one game going on at a time, because it seems like their schedules are going to be split with 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. Hey. So there isn't 5-6 different games going on at the same time.
Yep, and I'm okay with that. Each coach may challenge any ruling, including fouls or potential fouls, one time during the course of a contest, provided the team has a timeout remaining. A successful challenge will not result in the loss of a timeout, while a timeout is lost if the challenge is unsuccessful. So you only get one challenge, but you can challenge anything under the sun. I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah. And finally, overtime will consist of alternating attempts to score from the opponent's 5-yard line with no kicks allowed. It's a best-of-3 format or until a winner has been determined.
So college rules.
So it's, a little bit with college rules, I guess. So it's first and goal, and you're going to go back and forth until there is a winner. So that's the long and short of the UFL's rules. Next week, we're going to look at the coaching staffs.
Okay. So I have no update. A league and Hart started. We had our meeting and we kind of met this week. So that's that hit there. We will talk about players can start opting into college 2025. We'll talk about that next week, I think. And then finally, you might have seen me at the intro looking over this way. The Esterville Lincoln Central girls basketball team was playing in the 3A championship, lost 54-47 to Sullen.
Ouch. Didn't seem like that was going to be that big of a difference.
Yep.
We before we went on the air. So
no. Rich, I have 3 shout outs. I actually have 4, by the way.
Mm-hmm. I got 1.
You got 1. Go with your 1.
I got 1. All right, I got to do a happy anniversary to my parents. 44 years today.
Wow, that's a long time.
44 years.
Good job on them. So, number one, my little brother had his birthday on the 27th. Happy birthday, Jonathan. Number two, my niece Haley had her 6th birthday. She's 24. My niece is 24. She's only had 6th birthday. Leap day, baby. Today is...
She's 6, Mike. She's 6.
She's 6. Today is my sister-in-law Jenna's birthday. Happy birthday, Jenna. Those are 3 birthday shout-outs. And then, Rich, happy work anniversary. 8 years at one place. I think I've been at like 7 different places since you've been at your one. But that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm happy where I'm at. You're happy where you're at. I love that we've gotten to walk this journey together. Watching, knowing for years that you were wanting to get on full time with actual Deer proper when you were doing contract work for them, and then getting to see you grow into the role that you're in, and potentially in the future growing faster and farther. It's been great. I know you work your keister off, but I'm proud of you and putting in 8 whole years. 8 years ago, by the way, was when you and I were moving you.
That's right.
On the Oregon Trail.
We took the Oregon Trail out west.
Yeah. We had a great road trip out there. I think there's a picture of it in the intro thing. So, Rich, good job on that. And anything else before we end the show?
No, sir. So, Mike, go ahead and Mike, they're watching us here on the Facebook Live feed. Tell them, but maybe they just want the audio of our show. Where can they find it?
You can find it wherever you find your podcast. YouTube podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all of them. But Rich, if they are listening to us there, but they want to watch us without, tell them the 2 ways to watch us and how to participate with our poll questions.
All right. So if you're listening to this podcast land and want to see the video file, the video version of the show, you can find it on YouTube as well as on our Facebook page, or Fans of Balls and Sticks. And it's both of those pages where you'll also find our weekly poll question. If you give us a shout out on either the YouTube video live or on the poll question, we'll make sure to mention it during the show if we catch it. So, Mike, before we roll the outro, do we have any?
We have no shout-outs.
Nope. No shout-outs, no reactions.
Nope.
All right.
Let's roll the outro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.